Welcome to my channel.
Moon Audio.
Great, my husband is cheating. After finishing grading the midterm exams, I carefully reviewed each one that the students brought home for their parents to sign. I looked and suddenly recognized a very, very familiar signature. Unmistakable, this is my husband's signature. Every stroke is so familiar that I can recognize it immediately. Feels like winning the lottery. I was so happy that I immediately picked up the phone and called my best friend and excitedly told her, "Hey, let's go out. I'm treating my husband." Finally, he sneaked out. I was still in a daze, trying to figure out what was happening when Van Kai's voice startled me. "Ms. Van, my father's name is Tuong An." Hearing that question, I felt like a bucket of cold water was poured on my face, not daring to believe what I just heard. I hurriedly flipped through the test several times, trying to confirm what I had just discovered. There was no mistake. This handwriting belonged to Tuong An Hikit, the husband I had always thought was dry and heartless. Tuong Van Ki blinked at me, his voice somewhat innocent. Yes, Mom, what's the matter?" I tried to keep calm, forcing a faint smile. "It's nothing, I just know someone with the same name as your father." The boy's eyes lit up for a moment, then dropped again, looking a little sad. "But my dad is very busy. He can only come home to visit me and my mother once a month." Hearing that, I patted the boy on the back to comfort him. "It's okay, as long as your dad remembers you and your mother, that's good enough." But in my heart, I have now completely confirmed my thoughts. Tuong and Akit's work schedule really has one day every month when he is absent from home. I tried to contain the excitement that was rising inside me, waiting until class was over. As soon as the phone rang, I immediately picked up the phone and called my best friend with a tone of voice that could not hide my joy. "Let's go celebrate. I thought Ankit finally cheated on me. Tuong Ankit and I got married because of a promise from a previous life. It could be said to be an arranged marriage. Life after that was generally quite peaceful. Without major storms, he never let me lack material things. On all occasions and anniversaries, he regularly transfers money and gives expensive handbags and jewelry. I have everything that others have. Everyone who looks at me says I'm lucky to have a husband who is both rich and caring, but only I understand, besides those material things, I have nothing else." I thought Mr. Keat was a dry and overly rational person. I wear my best dresses for him to see. He never gave me a compliment, nor did he say sweet words of love. I personally went into the kitchen to cook delicious dishes for him to eat. He just blamed me for not letting the maid do everything to make it less tiring. I carefully chose expensive gifts to give him. He just accepted and said next time there was no need to bother like that. I had absolutely no idea about his financial problems, and he never cared about my petty thoughts and petty feelings. I've been sick of the same old life. For years, I wanted a divorce but couldn't find a good enough reason to end the marriage. Life like that is really too tiring, so I decided to apply for a job as an elementary school teacher, a job I had never thought of before. Who would have thought that this very job would accidentally help me discover a shocking secret? Now I have a valid reason for divorce, but I knew I couldn't rush it. I need to gather more solid evidence to be able to confidently enter this divorce battle. So I continued my teaching job as usual, trying to hide all my true feelings. That day, after school, the students were picked up by their parents one by one, leaving only Van Ki standing alone in front of the classroom door. "Van Ki, who is picking you up today? What's up that you're late?" The boy did not appear sad at all. On the contrary, his eyes shone with joy and anticipation. My mom came to pick me up today. She said she might be a little late. Normally I only see the driver pick up the boy. I have never seen his mother. Maybe that's why the boy is so happy. I also began to feel excited inside. I really want to know what Zhang Yingji's mistress looks like. What kind of person is the woman who made him change his mind? Well, I was lost in thought. Sweet voice rang out, "Van Ki." I looked up to see a woman with wavy brown hair wearing a body-hugging dress step out of a luxury car parked nearby. She looked extremely radiant and charming, completely unlike the image of a Mother of a 7-year-old child, but why does that face look so familiar? I was stunned and couldn't believe my eyes. Turns out it was Miss Them Tin Huang. She did not appear surprised and even gave a meaningful smile. Them Tin Huang, the person I had been fighting against since elementary school until high school graduation. What a strange coincidence. We studied in the same class for years, competing with each other for every grade, but this fate did not create a beautiful friendship but led to nearly a decade of secret struggle. But whether it's studying, appearance, or so on, as long as I appear, she's always the runner-up, always one step behind me. When I was in school, I once deliberately gave in to her in an important test, just so she could have the chance to experience the feeling of being at the top of the class. But instead of being grateful, she questioned me in front of everyone in a challenging tone. Trin Natan, what do you mean I don't need your pity? I will beat you fair and square myself. And from then on, the competition between us continued until graduation day. After college, we went our separate ways and completely lost contact. I thought that this fateful relationship was over, that I would never have to see her again in this life. Who would have thought that vicious circle would not let me go after so many years apart? Her arrogant attitude not only did not decrease but even became more unpleasant. The way he spoke was still as arrogant and smug as ever. Trin Natan, let bygones be bygones. No, I have to admit there is one thing I lose to you, she said, her tone full of glee. Modern women must be independent like her, struggling in society, going back and forth. As for me, it's different, being loved by my husband, just knowing how to enjoy this happy life is enough. As she spoke, she deliberately shook her wrist, showing off her expensive watch and shiny designer handbag. My husband gave me so many things that I can't use them all. Sometimes when you dress so simply, you look more elegant. After hearing that, I just wanted to roll my eyes. Actually, I have all those things, so her husband must have spent too much money to buy the same type for both of us. It's just that I can't bring them to school because of the strict rules. What if the students or other colleagues see them? I sighed, deliberately making a sarcastic remark. It's true that I'm not as lucky as her, only having a marriage certificate, living a simple life. But as a wife, fortunately, it's better than those secretive mistresses out there. Her face changed color slightly, but only for a moment. Then she quickly regained her composure. In marriage, if you're not loved, then you're a failure. Third person, what's the use of holding on to that marriage certificate? Arguing with her seemed to have become a conditioned reflex. I almost forgot that the main reason I was facing her here was because she had an affair with my husband. That's why I had the chance to escape this suffocating marriage. I should be thanking her. I say sincerely. It seems her husband truly loves her. Love is important, but for me, the marriage certificate is equally important. She raised her head again triumphantly. Maybe she thought I was jealous of her. She smiled faintly. Teacher Trin thinks so, right? It seems we will see each other again for a long time. After saying that, she linked arms with Tuong Vanki and together they walked towards the familiar car. The car I saw parked in the parking lot in front of my house. Come on, Vanki, let's have dinner with Dad later. A childish voice chirped in response. Yes. Hearing Them Tin Huang's last words before leaving, I knew for sure that tonight I thought Mr. Keat would not come home, and so I decided to do all the things that normally annoyed him. Ordered hot fast food from outside, threw the snacks he hated the most on the sofa, then turned on the TV to watch a long boring family movie. I chewed the potatoes on the crackling in my mouth and felt the satisfying crunch, thinking back on how miserable I have been these past years while we were eating and drinking happily. Suddenly there were footsteps outside the door, getting clearer and clearer. An ominous feeling suddenly came. I have sent all the servants home, so I can only assume you are tired and have come back. Sure enough, the door opened and there he was. But when he saw me making a mess in the living room, he just frowned slightly and said nothing. He took a few steps closer to me, and then I realized he was holding something in his hand. That is my favorite bakery's cake. That bakery is quite far away. He usually sends the driver to buy it and never goes there himself. He must have felt guilty today, so he personally went to buy cake to comfort. Emmy, you look full. Consider this as dessert. I took the box of cookies. Seeing that he didn't have any reaction, I continued to chew the potatoes deliciously. He sat down next to me. The atmosphere was a little awkward. I handed the bag of potatoes to him, pretending to be innocent, and asked, "Do you want some just as?" I expected. Tuong and Keat tilted his head and shook it slightly, showing his disagreement. Suddenly, a bold idea flashed through my mind, and I decided to attack his weakness head-on with a tricky question. If one of us accidentally strays and falls in love with someone else, how will you react? He was startled for a moment, his face showing confusion for a moment, but then quickly regained his composure, forced a smile, and replied, "No matter. But what? Cheating is something I can never accept, but if that person is you, maybe I will forgive you. It's just that from then on, I will always keep an eye on you, not taking my eyes off you for a second." I was not shaken, continued to look straight into his deep eyes, half jokingly asking, "So what if you're the one having an affair?" Without hesitation, he asserted firmly, "I will never cheat." His eyes were extremely determined, showing no sign of confusion. Feeling that further questioning was useless, I decided to change the subject to our upcoming anniversary. I used to not care much about anniversaries, but I thought Mr. Keat attached special importance to this occasion. He always thought that it was a very meaningful day, and that both families should be invited to celebrate together. Fresh flowers, valuable money transfers, designer handbags, expensive jewelry. Every year there is no shortage. Then let's do it like every year. Let's invite both sets of parents to dinner, then he'll take you somewhere private to warm up our relationship, Zhang Yingji gently suggested. Maybe this will be the last time he and I celebrate our wedding anniversary together. My heart was heavy, but I still tried to nod my head in agreement quickly, because I just needed a little more evidence. Let's just consider this dinner as a fake farewell party. Since that day, Shen Jingxiang seemed to always be on duty outside the school, coming to pick up Zhang Wenqi from school every day. However, there was no conflict between her and me. Even Jiang Yingji had become unusually quiet recently, not revealing any flaws that I could catch. This silence made me start to feel impatient. When would I be able to gather enough evidence to expose their true colors? After thinking carefully, I realized that the only way was to attack Tham Tin Huang today. Tuong Venkai School organized an extracurricular activity that required parents to come and participate with their children, and of course, Tham Tin Huang was one of the first to arrive. While the students were happily participating in the games, I took the initiative to call Tham Tin Huang into an office. To prevent absenteeism, is Tuong Venki your and Tuong and Keat's child? I don't want to beat around the bush, but get straight to the point. She crossed her arms over her chest, smirking. So what, that day I intentionally let Mr. Keat sign the registration form, and also intentionally let her see everything. I tried to stay calm and replied, "He loves Winky very much and treats him like a treasure. After all, he is his only son." Tham Tin Huang immediately retorted. She had been married for so many years, but still couldn't give birth to a child. If anyone was to blame, it was her useless stomach. Tham Tin Huang's sarcastic words stabbed at my heart, but I tried to stay calm, acting as if I had just been stabbed in a fatal spot. What if you don't have children? As long as I'm not divorced, you will forever be the hateful third person in his life. Her child will forever be an illegitimate child, not recognized by society. I watched every expression on her face carefully. Sure enough, as soon as I finished speaking, Tham Tin Huang's expression changed. Her normally calm face was now red with anger. Trin Natan, don't be so complacent. Just because you're complacent now doesn't mean you'll be complacent forever, she continued, her tone full of bitterness. Do you think that by winning over Mr. Keat, you have one who was there for him when he was most miserable, who gave birth to his child? The person he loves is me, not you. She became more and more agitated as she spoke. Just let her be happy for a few more days, then I will take your place. I smirked back. Wait until you have the marriage certificate in hand before. Saying those words, Tham Tin Huang was so angry that her face turned purple. She raised her hand and pointed straight at my face, intending to curse me, but just then, a scream rang out from downstairs, interrupted the argument. Ms. Trin Van Kai's mother, Vanki, fell. It was the voice of a teacher in charge of the activity downstairs. Hearing that her son was injured, Tham Tin Huang seemed to no longer have the mind to argue with me. I was also extremely worried and hurriedly ran after her down the yard, passing through the crowd of students surrounding him. I saw Tuong Vanki sitting on the ground, tears streaming down his face, his knees bleeding. Vanki, it's Mom, don't be afraid. Tham Tin Huang hugged her son tightly, tears rolling down her cheeks. Why didn't anyone call an ambulance? How much money did I spend on my son's education here? How do you teachers take care of your students? The teacher's voice was full of worrying and regret, and she hurried to reassure her. Sister, please stay calm. We have called 115. The ambulance is on the way. Please wait a moment. While things were still in turmoil, I took the opportunity to ask about the situation. What exactly happened? Another parent, who had witnessed the whole thing from the beginning, quickly explained. The children were running around playing when unfortunately little Vanki tripped and fell. Seeing Tuong Vanki crying miserably, my heart could not help but ache. Sympathy for Tham Tin Huang, who no longer had her usual arrogance, was now just a trembling mother holding her child tightly to her chest. I rushed into the teacher's office, got the first aid kit to temporarily treat the child's wound while waiting for the ambulance to arrive. When the ambulance arrived, as the homeroom teacher, I naturally had to follow to help, but Tham Tin Huang suddenly returned to her usual cold and arrogant expression. You don't have to come along, she said coldly. I can go by myself. Her voice was very small, almost a mumble. I wasn't sure if she was talking to me or just reassuring herself. That night when I got home, I thought Brother Keat hadn't returned yet, which was different from usual. I knew exactly where he was. At first, I planned to take a shower and rest, but after thinking for a while, I realized that today was the rare opportunity I had been waiting for. When the ambulance arrived, I deliberately asked for the hospital address. I immediately pressed the button and rushed straight there. I was afraid that if I was even a second late, I would think Brother Keat would leave. The nurse on duty, after hearing me introduce myself as Zhang Wenka's teacher, enthusiastically showed me the room number. To avoid being recognized, I carefully put on a baseball cap. Before going out, lowering the brim of my cap, I tiptoed to the door of the ward, pretending to accidentally glance inside. Everything happened just as I had predicted. Thinking Brother Keat was there, he turned his back to me, so the expression on his face could not be seen clearly. But Shen Jingxiang's face could not hide the gloomy and unpleasant expression. Tuong Vanki had fallen into a deep sleep. I thought Mr. Keat lowered his voice and tried to speak softly, but I could still hear every word clearly. Tin Huang, I told you, I'm very busy these days. If there's nothing important, then don't call me anymore. Immediately, Tham Tin Huang showed resentment. You are the child's father. If I don't call you, who else will I call? You are not worried about the child being hurt. Is there anyone in this world who is a father like you? Okay, do. And be angry anymore. Tuong and Keat hurriedly pulled her into his arms to comfort her. It's my fault. You have to take care of everything related to the child by yourself. It's too hard for you. He continued, I'll give you the card later. Buy whatever you want. Consider it my compensation. Tham Tin Huang was angry now. Then, I'll forgive you this time, but don't do it again next time. While the two of them were passionately cuddling, I quickly took out my phone to take a clear photo capturing the moment they were hugging each other. Tham Tin Huang left his arms, her eyes sparkling with anticipation as she looked at Mr. Keat. So when will you divorce Trinatan? Give me and my mother an official title. Standing outside the door, my heart was pounding with excitement, anxiously waiting for an answer, but Tuong and Keat did not respond immediately. Tin Huang, I know this marriage was originally arranged by both families. Now if I get divorced without reason, how will I explain to my parents? Tham Tin Huang pursed her lips, looking dissatisfied. Are You so cruel to let me and my mother live. In the dark forever, branded as the third person. And the illegitimate child am fine. But Vanki is my only child. Tuong and Keat squeezed it out, looked. Helpless Anne nodded, this can't be. Rushed ill sort. This out soon, he continued. Well, it's late. There's still a lot of work waiting for me to do at the company. Hire someone to take care of you. Don't let yourself get too tired, it'll go. First he also coaxed me with a few more sentences that made me feel nauseous and disgusted. I pulled my hat down low and quickly left the hospital through the emergency exit. If Mr. Keat finds out that I'm not at home, things will get complicated. When Tuong and Keat got home, he still acted normal, didn't mention divorce at all, and even showed excessive concern for me. He held my face, looked at it and said, "You're so skinny. Is it because you're too tired from work? Recently I have felt extremely relaxed, even gaining a significant amount of weight. My husband, Tuong and Keat, has been completely silent about the divorce, making me feel tired and no longer interested in pretending to hold on." I turned my back and walked upstairs, crawled under the blanket and covered myself tightly. He also quietly climbed into bed, lay down next to me and hugged me. The days passed by, boringly until our wedding anniversary. Unfortunately, on that special day my son's school announced a parent-teacher conference, so I had to text Tuong and Keat to let him know that I would be home late today, and that we could only celebrate tonight. He did not express any opinion and even replied that he was also busy and would only be free until tonight. I put my phone in my pocket and went back to preparing for my speech. This was the first time I had ever held a parent-teacher conference, so I couldn't help but feel nervous and anxious. More and more parents came to class, and the seats where the positions were gradually filled. Only Tuong Venkai's position remained empty. How could Shen Jingxiang, Wenka's mother, miss such an opportunity to show off? I felt a little strange, but didn't think much of it by the time the meeting started. The parents still couldn't find her. I decided to start now to avoid wasting other parents' time. Just then, a familiar figure suddenly pushed open the door and entered the classroom. Sorry, teacher, I am Tuong Venkai's parent. Late. The person who just spoke was none other than my husband, who was busy working overtime at my company. I thought he was Mr. Keat. His words were suddenly interrupted when their eyes met. I don't blame him for being surprised. I told him I was a teacher, but never revealed that I was his stepchild's teacher. It turned out he had brought the evidence to my mouth himself, trying to suppress the ache that was spreading throughout my body. I spoke softly. Come in, the meeting is about to start. Vovien's curious eyes fell on the two of us. Tuong and Keat had no choice but to silently walk over and sit down on the chair marked with Tuong Venkai's name. I stood on the podium, trembling with excitement and anger, but in Tuong and Keat's eyes, perhaps he thought I was collapsing because I discovered the harsh truth about his betrayal. As soon as the meeting ended, I pretended to be unable to bear it anymore and hurriedly ran out of the classroom. But Tuong and Keat quickly caught up, pulling me into a corner of the empty hallway. Natan, things aren't like you think. Listen to me explain. The flustered, confused look on his face didn't look like he was acting. What do you mean by not like I thought? Others said you were having an affair. I didn't believe it. Today, I witnessed it with my own eyes. What else do you have to say? Are you sorry to me? To my parents? I angrily took out my phone and threw at him the photo of him and Tham Tin Huang at the hospital the day before. Seeing that photo, he was immediately speechless, unable to utter anything. Nah, Tan, I was wrong. I was confused. I was momentarily confused. Can you forgive me? This time I will cut ties with them immediately. His reaction showed that my act was extremely successful, making him believe it completely. Forgive me. I have devoted so many years to this house, and you are out having affairs and even having children. Do you think I forgive that easily? I uttered those bitter words without changing my expression. I thought Mr. Keat held my hand tightly, his face full of pleading. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Think about our relationship over the years and forgive me this once. Will we live well in the future? This is the first time I have seen him like this, with that pitiful face. He could probably make anyone's heart soften, but unfortunately, I'm not the type to be easily moved. I shook his hand off firmly. I hate betrayal the most. I will never forgive. You prepare to sign the divorce papers. I took advantage of the moment when he was still stunned and immediately left the school. I didn't go home that night while waiting for food in a hotel restaurant. I sent an anonymous message to Tham Tin Huang, if you really want to be with Tuong and Keat, then tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock take your son to his house. I don't believe she could pass up a godsend like this to prevent Tuong and Keat from going back on his word. I also told the lawyer to prepare the divorce papers. It will definitely come in handy tomorrow. After I finished everything, feeling relieved, I texted the younger brother I had secretly loved for so long. A very frank message. I'm single now. Can you give me a chance to pursue you? Early the next morning, around 10 o'clock, just as I had predicted, I saw Tham Tin Huang leading Tuong Vanki waiting right in front of my house gate. She looked extremely angry but tried to control herself. Go inside. Tham Tin Huang finally understood everything. She looked at me with complicated eyes and asked, you sent me a message, so it's you? I raised an eyebrow in response, but I thought Mr. Keat was your husband. What is your purpose in doing this? I don't bother beating around the bush. With her I have no purpose. If you really want to marry Tuong and Keat, don't ask too much. Just follow me into the house. Tuong Van. He is still too young. The boy stood beside, listening to the adults' conversation, his innocent face showing a look of bewilderment, completely not understanding what was happening. I used my fingerprint to unlock the door. As soon as I stepped into the house, the strong smell of alcohol hit my nose, making me frown uncomfortably. Tuong and Keat was lying flat among a pile of beer bottles, looking extremely miserable. As soon as he saw me, he staggered to his feet, his voice filled with anticipation. Natan, you're here. You must have thought it through, right? You forgive me, right? He lunged forward and hugged me tightly, his breath smelling of alcohol, making me frown even more. I did not come to forgive you. I pushed him away to reveal Tham Tin Huang and her son behind. It had been a long time since Tuong Vanki had seen his father. The boy immediately became excited. His childish voice rang out. Tuong and Keat's 3 eyes immediately softened. He bent down and hugged the baby in his arms. Dad doesn't need me and Mom anymore. Tham Tin Huang also had tears in her eyes. Her voice choked. How could I not need it if you can't bear it? Then sign the divorce papers. I thrust the prepared divorce papers straight into his hand, not giving him a chance to think further. Do you want to see this child never be able to properly call you dad for the rest of his life? Or do you want your name and the cheating scandal to be all over the newspapers tomorrow morning? Tham Tin Huang now also understood my intention. She threw herself into Mr. Keat's arms and sobbed. With her son, I promised I would get a divorce soon. Now is the best opportunity. Are you trying to trick me? Maybe it was because my scare worked. Or maybe it was because the scene of the mother and child crying miserably touched people's hearts. Tuong and Keat became confused, unable to utter a word of refusal. No, I don't want to take anything from you. Sign it. I won't take a penny of your assets. Afraid that he would change his mind, I immediately turned around and left without any hesitation. It's just a pity that I didn't have time to bring the designer dresses and limited edition handbags, although it was a bit regretful that couldn't stop me from immediately booking a flight abroad to enjoy a new life of freedom and comfort. All the good things seemed to come at once. The person I have secretly liked for a long time, Tanja Tuong, also happily agreed to travel with me. We walked together under the ancient clock tower in Braha, wrote each other's names in the white snowflakes, and Hido have fun together on romantic gondolas in Venice, chase the brilliant sunrise on Bali Beach together. That time was really both relaxing and fun. Our relationship also took a significant step forward thanks to that, even though he was still in disguise and had not officially agreed to the relationship. I knew it was only a matter of time. I thought that in this life I would no longer have any connection with Tuong and Keat or Tham Tin Huang. But then one day, I suddenly received a call from a strange number. I picked up the phone and a Sob came from the other end of the line. Hello, no one answered. I thought it was a fake call. As I was about to hang up, a weak voice suddenly rang out. Trin Natan, I really hate you. I recognized this voice immediately. It was Tham Tin Huang. Before I could say anything, she continued, from childhood to adulthood, I have always been inferior to her. I tried my best, but the name Trin Na Tan was still mentioned and praised by everyone as talented, beautiful, and hardworking. I admit I lost to her. But when she grew up, she was still the one who got the person I liked before me. I willingly gave birth to his child, accepted the life of a woman without a status for him, and devoted myself to taking care of my family and children. Her voice choked as she said, but after the divorce, he still refused to marry me. Really? Will I be inferior to her all my life? I heard this and felt very strange. I was holding a divorce paper with both sides' signatures in my hand. Yet she said he refused to marry her. Wait, suddenly, I remembered that I had used my old phone number to text her before. I hurriedly rummaged through my old phone and opened it to see a series of messages from Mr. Keat. Appeared at first apologies, excuses that he was drunk, and earnestly hoped I would come back. Then gradually, those words turned to vicious threats. Trin Natan, if you leave me, you will regret it. I'm getting married soon. Even if you regret it, it's too late. I almost burst out laughing. So it turned out that Mr. Keat intended to remarry, but that person was not hurt. Tham Tin Huang did not reply, but her prolonged silence was no different from a tacit admission. I couldn't help but chuckle. You should feel lucky. She sacrificed so much for him, but in return, he did not appreciate her at all. What is there for you to regret about a man who doesn't know how to cherish you? I continued. She is an intelligent woman with great ambition and drive. She can completely rely on herself to build a good life, even much better than that kind of life that relies on fake charity. Even though we never really got along before, we've known each other for years. Moreover, I used to be her child's teacher. I used to mistakenly think that they truly loved each other, so they used her to get a divorce. But now I have realized that Annie Keat is not a man worth sacrificing for anyone. I can't stand by and watch another woman push herself into that pit of words. I understand the hardships of being a single mother as her child's former teacher, or even an old classmate. I will transfer you 50 million dong. I hope you can live well, and don't keep comparing yourself to others. She is also excellent, deserves to be happy and see the good things in life. Long while later, a choked, emotional thank you came from the other end of the line. After I hung up, my heart suddenly felt light. Maybe it was because I was freed from the burden of guilt of having taken advantage of her, or maybe it was for some other reason that I couldn't name yet. Anyway, I can finally start a new life, a life that I truly want and desire. Later on, Tham Tin Huang lived quite well. She raised her child alone and started her own business. Up to now, her company can be considered to have achieved some certain success. On the contrary, Tuong and Keat's path was not smooth. The story of his affair and having a child outside was revealed by someone anonymously. That should be too serious for a company boss. But unfortunately, his second wife came from a family with power and status, so it was too easy to deal with him. Luckily, his new wife was still fascinated by his looks, so she temporarily kept him as a talking flower vase to brighten up the family. I'm sure it will be very interesting next time we meet. What about me? Of course, Tanja Tuong could not resist my strong and fierce attack.